everyone. We're back once again. Today is the delightful Lantern Festival, which falls on the 15th day of the first month.
Oh, because during the whole New Year period, we should talk about the lunar calendar. I don't know, but the solar calendar. Let me check what date it is.
But today, I don't know, I didn't pay attention to what the Lantern Festival is, but as soon as I opened WhatsApp, I saw it.
It's about making tangyuan.
Isn't it like China's Valentine's Day? I don't care if it's Valentine's Day. All I'm thinking about is that delicious tangyuan to eat, right? I only see images of tangyuan.
That's right.
Wishing everyone a joyful Lantern Festival. In just 2 days, it will be Valentine's Day. I sincerely hope that everyone can generate some profits in the stock market today, enabling you to purchase beautiful flowers for your girlfriend or beloved wife. Right? Is that okay?
In Chinese tradition, buying flowers is for happy occasions.
Isn't that so? Then what should we buy? In traditional Chinese culture, giving red envelopes is known as giving lucky money.
No, it's about setting off firecrackers. Setting off firecrackers, yes. Finding a partner to set off fireworks.
That's quite crazy.
Let's celebrate the current day and time. Come on, tell me what day and what time. Currently, there's no report machine available.
What are you discussing?
Let's activate the quote machine first.
I mentioned it first. It's around 500. Today, the stock market index stands at approximately 20 so 857 points. The current collection is notably high, with today's peak reaching 21,858, just slightly lower than expected. So, today's transaction volume is 28.71 billion, 2,071 billion. So, actually, the recent transaction volume has notably increased, and I'm not sure if it's directly related to AI or Chun. Do you think it might possibly be connected to Chun's influence?
Hey, because you might as well say it's related to me.
Well, because I previously mentioned that Chun's anticipated return to the stage follows 4 years of a consistently rising Hong Kong stock market. With Tom back on stage, the Hong Kong stock market is beginning to show signs of improvement. Previously, Tom mentioned the necessity of adjusting certain Chinese tariffs for better economic balance. Now it is clear that Hong Kong is widely regarded as an integral part of that larger context. So, it appears that our market isn't overly concerned, nor is it quite as he claimed.
It's not just him. The prior government made the same statement. Yes, that is correct, but it is important to note that Hong Kong is a part of China, so regarding tariffs, you are right. There have always been trade disputes because the concept of a tariff zone isn't that straightforward, according to the Hong Kong government's stance.
Yes.
These complex international issues urgently need to be resolved through global cooperation. In the investment world, it's widely understood that everyone is well aware of their own unique agendas and objectives. Yes. Since everyone involved is fully aware of their own specific agendas or positions, there is a complete absence of any uncertainty in the situation. Investors fear uncertainty the most, correct? So without uncertainty, it's reasonable for everyone to rise. Also, hey, don't forget, at the beginning of the year, we said a 20% rise. Back then, it was 20,000 points.
Now it's just a bit more, how much more until we reach 20%? 4,000.
Oh, right. There is now a 10% rise. It's February, and we've reached the halfway point. Yes, there's still some time. We talked about Q1 or the first half of the year. Right. So your specific midterm goal is set at 10%. Yes, so it's 10%. Alright, then it has been reached in a short time. If you buy the right stocks, what specific types of stocks do you buy? Buy the right stocks. Oh, for instance, if you purchased 10-cent shares when their price was at 380, then you made a wise investment, no doubt about it. What about us? You shouldn't have gone to buy 36.90. It's none of your business, right?
Isn't it? I just opened Tencent to see. I was just chatting with Brother Sam about which stocks to check the prices from early this year. At the beginning of the year, we look back to January.
Yeah, right here. At the beginning of the year, we can't say it's the same around 370, 380. Actually, that's perfectly okay. You don't always need to buy the most cutting-edge stocks consistently. As long as there is potential for growth in the investment, that can be more beneficial than having no investments at all. Outperforming the market, right? Buying 9988 is good, but it's not our recommendation, as I recall. Absolutely, that's correct. However, our typical 9988 has some exciting new catalysts this time around, and we'll discuss them in detail a bit later on. Absolutely, and at times this can relate to the management of your investment portfolio and its various operational aspects. As brokers, we truly want you to engage in trading on a daily basis, right? Engage in safe trading each day and let's build excitement. But you can't realistically have your entire investment portfolio 100% in and out, right? Well, you need to leave half of it to sit and rest for a while. It offers strong motivation for your warehouse operations.
To successfully sit like this, you must have confidence or clearly see the potential in it.
This is based on analysis and watching our live broadcast.
So if it's 700, let's just talk about 700 again after we discuss 9988. At the very beginning of the year, I distinctly remember that we had a few moments. If everyone checked our Instagram, they would see Sengay featured on TV. And we also mentioned 700.
We already talked about it in our live broadcast. We're not just talking.
Indirectly promoting our company's other promotional channels.
I don't want to promote the TV station.
But you can check out IG first. That's right. That's right. It's okay.
Check out IG.
Speaking of that topic, do you still hold the same views you expressed during the interview back then?
Because right now it's already at a low point, around 4. Everyone, that's what our system shows, including the target price, but I can't remember what the target price is. I really can't remember well. Yeah, if I check it right now for you, yeah, I remember when I look at it, but that's what our system shows. Well, I'm just reading the report that I pulled out for details. I just copied it from the TV station's website. I don't know if I attacked anyone.
Do we have anything available?
Yeah. Can we attack anyone?
We just need to record ourselves. That's great. Check it out if you're interested. Then how about today? Let's talk about the market. Another focus is our investment in 9988. Yeah, because 9988, wow, that's exaggerated. Actually, before this moment, I didn't really think about it because I always assumed that Apple was somehow related to Alibaba, or maybe it was just my misunderstanding. Sorry, I meant to say that I believed Apple is connected to Alibaba. Apple and Alibaba are two different stocks.
Yes, I see that Apple is often compared to Alibaba, but I thought they really shouldn't have much of a direct connection.
That's because of possible national issues or something. And you know that Alibaba is quite sensitive to certain topics, right? Previously, when discussing Ant Group's IPO, everyone has a clear impression or remembers exactly why it couldn't go public. So what happened later?
Why do I know this?
Because of the way they speak.
Look, I always emphasize one thing. It's not that they can't go up because they said something wrong. They didn't. They spoke. And their statements, well, everyone can listen to those statements. Their statements are genuine, not fabricated. But I think the market has seriously misunderstood this matter.
Is it because they are too monopolistic in their practices, or is it that Ant Group is being overly cautious, or is there another reason?
It's quite simple. If you have the ability to assist people in placing orders, guide them in purchasing stocks, suggest suitable stocks, and occasionally recommend promising stocks, then if I have a license, I definitely won't cut it. Yes, that would affect my interest, right? In the financial world of mainland China, the situation is quite similar. Don't forget, Ant Group doesn't have a license. Yes, they do as they please. Yes. Certainly, it has the potential to expand into very specific niche markets, yes. So, you have to be well prepared, or it's quite rare for an organization to get a license. Would they easily let it go? Yes. At times, these obstacles can be quite apparent blockers or significant business considerations, if we may phrase it that way, don't you think? From a business interest perspective, we can say this is true. Absolutely. I believe it's not overly simplistic to assert that it is indeed wrong. We can express it from a place of righteousness. This situation is chaotic. He claims he said something inappropriate that offended people, so he can't go public now. This reason might be valid, but if you think a little deeper about it, when he made this particular statement, he likely already knew he couldn't go public with the information. In that moment, he may have felt frustrated and angry about the situation, which could explain why he said something that seemed out of character or inappropriate. His emotions might have influenced his words significantly. Hey, just don't forget what he clearly said during our last conversation. I distinctly recall what he mentioned. He was openly criticizing the significant lack of a proper system in place. Yes, he faced some backlash for going public with his concerns, and now he finds himself unable to speak freely. So actually, this is just a necessary follow-up to that discussion. Of course, everyone is just speculating. It's quite simple. The most apparent fact on the table is that one person possesses a license while the other does not. Your valuation skyrockets if you hold a license. Take a moment to examine 1398. Simply click on any bank stock at random and observe what its current valuation happens to be. Right? If you don't possess it, then it's truly unfair. That's simply how this world operates.
Currently, the year 1398 is achieving 5 6s. Yes, that's correct, but today we are actually discussing the case of Alibaba, and specifically when Ant Group mentioned it, we should reconsider Sam's analysis, which I must say is indeed accurate. Let's pull up the chart to examine how much Alibaba was actually worth back then, shall we?
Yes, 9988. You can actually see all three of the old ones. What is the reason for that? It's primarily based on the fact that Ant's overall valuation is significantly higher than its competitors. Now, if Ant Group wants to successfully regain its business license, its company valuation will likely get much closer to previous levels. Or it needs to approach financial institutions that require licenses. In that case, your dividends are likely to be lower.
Hey, but I distinctly remember it was around 20 years ago, almost exactly. 5 years prior.
Hey, I vividly remember that I was still at the old office. I can't recall exactly what I was doing that late night, just working overtime. Then shortly after that, the media arrived, and then Bomber suddenly appeared. Yes. Then Bomber popped up, so cute. Let's post a poll first. And then the media quickly arrived on the scene.
Yes, I still remember this is the first time in my life I got an IPO, which was Ant. Oh, but then it was suddenly gone, my very first IPO. Yes, indeed. Oh, I rarely go for IPOs. Oh, really? My strategy is that I prefer not to lock up my money in long term investments, but instead consider placing it in the dark market to explore opportunities, allowing me more flexibility with my funds.
It's really unfortunate my first IPO was like the tracker fund.
Now it's okay, not bad.
But aren't we specifically discussing the significant gap?
Well, but today we're talking about 9988, which has something to do with Apple. People speculated, thinking, oh, perhaps it's actually DeepSheet after all. But now it's said that Apple will collaborate with Alibaba to develop the AI features for the iPhone in China. So I thought to myself, wow, this is a bit surprising. Actually, the company 9988 might be in a very favorable position, but Apple also reserves the right to choose to collaborate with them on an AI project.
The meaning of the closed eye position is
The situation remains unchanged. There is still a monopoly despite previous claims. No, at this time there are indeed other available options. Yeah.
e-commerce can't be monopolized. Yeah, microfinance is also gone. Almost, hey, health is also gone, but yeah, they still have a monopoly.
No, like this. But I initially thought, hey, maybe they might choose those stories with less news coverage or perhaps not so visually eye-catching after all. Hey, turns out that's not the case.
No, you still need to select a model that closely resembles the original one. What I mean is, I'm not suggesting that 9988 necessarily resembles this model while others do not, but I believe that if you are Apple, your top priority should be selecting a model that best fits them.
Because, hey, I recently read in the news that it's being said, although it's just a rumor, that there's actually been testing of 998. And hey, 9888, which involves Baidu, hey, Tencent, and ByteDance, yeah, along with the latest deep learning set. And also the advanced AI model developed by Alibaba. So, hey, they are discussing how Alibaba possesses an extensive and valuable consumer data pool.
Hey, but actually, having 700 entries is not weak. It represents a substantial amount of payment and communication data. If you say that, yeah.
I agree on the payment part.
The payment data is completely prepared and ready for use. Because honestly, it seems like everyone is utilizing WeChat Pay out there in the bustling markets and street vendors, right? So what's the situation with WeChat Pay? When you go out, you mean yes, even your foreign friends, you're absolutely right. The usage of Alipay seems to be relatively less popular compared to others. Yes, it's relatively less. This is simply our personal observation and not actual official data. Yes, that's right. This consumption data indicates that WeChat Pay isn't very actively used, primarily because it lacks a dedicated online shopping platform. It doesn't have a long-established and widely recognized online shopping platform. You're absolutely right. Yes, indeed, this is Alibaba's significant competitive advantage. Approximately 70% of Alibaba's total revenue is generated from its core business, which is undeniably its most valuable segment, explaining why Alibaba continues to thrive in the market. The stock price can break through this level like this. So do you think it will be a bit more optimistic? I do. Yes, but I'm not saying everyone should buy at this price now.
However, there is a significant problem. While everyone seems relatively optimistic about this news, it could potentially have a negative impact on Alibaba Health. In fact, today I believe that Alibaba Health is not performing well at all.
Because this involves the revaluation of its market value. Yes, as Shenghua mentioned, approximately 70% of its total revenue is generated from its core business operations, which primarily include online shopping, grocery shopping, and other similar retail activities that cater to consumer needs. But now you are truly transforming this income into tangible data, as you know, in mainland China, where you conveniently order takeout and engage in online shopping activities. As a consumer, what is the very first thing that comes to your mind in this situation? It's a great deal, it's very cheap. So what does it really mean to be cheap, actually? It suggests that you are either ridiculing the service platform or the individuals behind it. Isn't that right? Or maybe both. So this old thing we have actually doesn't generate much money at all. Yeah, or its profit margins are very thin. Don't be overly optimistic, but consider that when this old thing is finally monetized or transformed, it could become something truly valuable. Then that's another story, another motivation. And that's precisely what drives Alibaba's stock price to be thoroughly reassessed and analyzed.
Yes, but the main issue is that, unfortunately, the news circulating in the market right now consists primarily of mere rumors. So I believe that's how things are, at least until it's truly confirmed and verified. Yes, typically it remains uncertain when the topic will be addressed or discussed again. Yeah, except random. Hey there, so if we take a moment to talk about Alibaba, we're currently examining the chart right now. Actually, it's going back to the last time, this top position around 120.
Yes.
In October, it's truly about whether it can successfully break through the current resistance.
No, actually, it's a double top. No, triple top. 4 tops. Several times this position. It's a strong top. This is 1234.
So now we should definitely not chase after it. Let's see if it really breaks before we decide.
Only if it breaks. Breaking would mean it's widely accepted in the market for revaluation. Yes. Currently, the process of revaluation itself has become a significant narrative. Indeed, it serves as a crucial catalyst for change. If you really want to ask me how to operate, I won't add positions now.
Yeah, hey, or personally, I have some strategies I want to ask if you think they're right. Yes, consider purchasing some softer call options, specifically those with a longer term perspective. Also, think about how many contracts to seek out.
Absolutely, you really need to find it then. Yes, you absolutely need to think, hey, what does multiplying 2 times really mean? If it rises by 5%, you only need to rise by 10%. Right, that point is purely theoretical, and you must still take into account various uncertainties that could impact the outcome.
So it's not really worth it. It's not this operation. Take it slow.
No, I would say it truly depends on the nature of your returns. Yes, you need to first carefully examine where your peak performance is. Let's say it's around $120 and currently it stands at approximately 1.3. 1.3, yes. So actually, 5% is a small yet significant amount. If it's 5% and you're 4 times that, then you're looking at a 20% increase. Yes. But how much will the next order cost us? In most cases, during these situations, I typically examine the 10-day moving average line, which should ideally be around 100. The price is approximately 100, which is about 10% away from 9 degrees. Yes. Even if you use the underlying stock, you're still taking a 10% risk to aim for a 5% return. If you effectively leverage it, then you might conclude that aiming for a modest 5% return while accepting a higher 10% risk isn't worth the effort, as it feels like it's not even a one-to-one trade-off in potential gains versus losses. So if you leverage it even more, it ultimately becomes even less worthwhile overall. Absolutely, I would certainly consider it from this particular perspective.
Alright, let's take a closer look at the various issues currently facing Alibaba first. If anyone has any questions or inquiries regarding Alibaba or the exciting developments in AI, please feel free to ask them in the comments section. Shortly, we will be introducing some engaging AI-related topics for discussion.
If anyone happens to disagree with this viewpoint, you are more than welcome to challenge that perspective in the comments section. Certainly, we can definitely discuss other intriguing Alibaba-related topics as well. Additionally, I would like to highlight the significance of 1060.
Oh, Alibaba Pictures. Yes, I am really excited to talk about Alibaba Pictures today. I recall Zhang Jikong's recent comments regarding problems in Hong Kong cinema, but I have nothing specific to add.
Is Alibaba Pictures part of Hong Kong cinema?
Not necessarily the case, but they are indeed beginning to invest significantly in Hong Kong films and productions.
Are they focusing on Alibaba or the film industry? I really don't know. But anyway, it has Alibaba and the film industry. How much did it rise today?
1060, right? 1060, it actually rose by 8% today. What I mean is 241 rose by 10% too. Yes, it's still Alibaba.
The film industry doesn't directly help 1060, so what is it actually promoting? Today it's promoting Neza.
Oh, really? Is Neza's release happening?
I'm unsure if Neza will release in Hong Kong, but it's performing well at the box office in mainland China. However, it's important not to become overly optimistic. Just because movies perform well in mainland China, it doesn't automatically mean they will achieve the same level of success in Hong Kong. Absolutely, that's correct. If you look closely, you'll find that among the top 10 movies in mainland China, The Wandering Earth is included. There's The Wandering Earth, Wolf Warrior 2, and 2 Neja movies, so about half of them, and you already counted, but there's not a single one that made it to Hong Kong. Interestingly, in the extensive history of Hong Kong's top 100 movies, there isn't a single film that is a pure mainland Chinese production. In Hong Kong, one could argue that there are no entirely Chinese productions. The closest examples would be films that feature diverse funding from various sources or international capital.
So, does that mean the movie Long River 7 counts? No, it doesn't. But it's still a domestic collaboration. There are some domestic actors involved.
For instance, I distinctly recall a captivating film titled Lust Caution, which is regarded as a remarkable blend of cinematic resources from China, the United States, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, showcasing a diverse array of cultural influences and artistic collaboration in its production.
Oh, let me check back, sorry, about what you just said regarding Neza. It turns out that its impressive global box office revenue has surpassed an incredible 1.266 billion USD, exceeding the totals of both Iron Man and The Little Mermaid films.
Let's calculate. How much is 1.266 billion? If you multiply 1.266 billion by 789, the result is approximately 9.8874 billion. However, in China, the figure appears to be around 9.2 billion, correct? Oh, the box office revenue, yes, it's approximately 9.2 billion RMB, indicating that the majority of its earnings predominantly come from the mainland market.
Wow, that's impressive. It's about to surpass Frozen.
Is it still not surpassed? It will happen soon, just not yet. It has only surpassed it on the mainland, correct? That should be the case.
He is currently ranked 24th in global films.
Mainland Chinese films demonstrate strong consumption power. Yes, this is something you can't deny, I think.
Hey, does the consumption power of mainland films matter? Because recently, for example, the Shanghai government has issued some consumption vouchers talking about 500 million yuan. Yes. So there are vouchers for dining, tourism, films, and sports. But actually, there are relatively few for films. How much is it per ticket? 3,000 units. Watching movies in mainland China is relatively inexpensive.
Watching movies in mainland China is expensive. It's 20 yuan per person. Is it okay to watch Neza?
There might be some questions regarding Neja, especially concerning regular films. I have a few close friends who live in Zhuhai. So it's like, hey, when we have time, we should go watch a movie. It's about 20 bucks, 10 bucks.
What cinema? Is it really that cheap? In Huafa Century City, there are indeed some cinemas available, but they are likely to be more expensive compared to others.
No, but it is located in a community cinema that sits within a quiet residential area.
Oh, it's cheap then. How much does it cost to watch movies in mainland China? It's not cheap now, apparently. I remember it being around 60 to 70 bucks. Yes, that's right. Watching movies in mainland is not cheap. That's my impression. And you really have to take into account their overall income. Yes, in Hong Kong, if a ticket costs $60 to $70, you might think to yourself, oh, that's quite a lot of money.
Hey, Hong Kong, you say? Yes, yes. Hey, that's not too much. It's considered cheap.
What film are you seeing? Have you seen any New Year films? I don't have it. It seems that you might have some interesting news or information, perhaps? Hey there, while walking on the street, can you count all the New Year movies? Can you count them?
This New Year's fortune isn't meant for this year.
Oh, this year. I can't count them all. If you ask me for a specific title, I have indeed thought about it quite a bit. If you press me for an answer, I would immediately say Home Sweet Home 2025. Actually, that's wrong. There is no such movie, none at all. So it's truly like $60 to $70 for a single item, in addition to the significantly high opportunity cost for people living in Hong Kong.
Hey, or if I have some extra time, I might do other enjoyable things like drink a nice coffee. Too expensive. If you're in vibrant Hong Kong during the festive season, watching some exciting New Year movies might cost around $150 to $160. It's not only about New Year movies, ordinary movies count too.
I'm truly unsure about that. I apologize. Hey, it's just that usually at this price, I wouldn't watch it. I usually use buy one, get one free credit cards. Or it's like you get 1 month initially. No, 4 days a week. Does that sound good to you? Oh, I understand now, so I will discuss this with you later. Hey, there are some special cards that offer a permanent 20% discount along with a minimum of 10% discount available too. To receive the 10%, you must avoid using credit cards entirely. That's it. Just check the early shows. Early shows don't even cost $100 a ticket, just 6. But for 140 or 150, I rarely watch such expensive movies. It's too costly for me. Of course, our company's prime locations are definitely pricier, right?
I typically avoid watching movies close to the company since I once attempted to go with 4 friends needing to buy 2 tickets.
You live in a prime area, don't you? You should definitely try visiting my lovely neighborhood sometime. You'll discover that tickets are significantly cheaper than expected. Because I have to watch it this specific way, we are fortunate to have an international cinema in our area. Your area boasts a well-known international cinema, correct? Its name is recognized among many major cities worldwide. I haven't gotten it yet, but I can... Okay, let's talk about it later.
You can search for this information, but typically it's around 500, and everyone should be aware of this fact. Right, those who know can let me know in the comments. Watching early shows at 11 feels perfect, as Ryan mentioned. What I'm trying to convey is that, although it currently costs around 60 or 70 bucks, it's important to take into account what a viewer pointed out regarding various locations and their pricing. However, watching movies remains quite affordable compared to other forms of entertainment, and in mainland regions, despite frequent discussions about a trend of consumption downgrade, I have observed that young people continue to spend money. They often indulge in purchasing items like beverages or various inexpensive snacks, such as a refreshing $5 cup from Mixue, showcasing their willingness to treat themselves even on a budget. Right, but they often tell us not to drink, and I just want to emphasize, you're not as young as you think, okay? Do you really need to? During the New Year celebrations, I noticed that their overall spending power appears to be quite satisfactory. Absolutely. So could it possibly be related? Additionally, during the New Year period, we really need to focus on boosting the box office performance, as the box office is comparable to the A-shares market. It's skyrocketing and truly impressive, whereas the Hong Kong market is somewhat lagging behind.
If you talk about spending power, it's like, hey, many believe that consumption in the mainland is declining due to weak spending power. But I see it as quite strong in nature, yet I would still say it's ultimately a consumption downgrade. You can observe young people today. They seem to spend their money without a second thought, whether it's on watching movies, dining out, or making other purchases like snacks without any hesitation whatsoever. Consider what young people were engaging in and experiencing 20 years ago during that time period. They were saving for home purchases. Now that the opportunity is gone, there's no longer any focus on saving for a house. When examining the property market closely, it's evident that if you analyze the data regarding the so-called black tax, you'll find that the trading volume continues to experience a decline in 2024, indicating ongoing challenges within this sector. This reflects that everyone is completely, well, I'm not even considering buying a house. As long as I have a place to live, I'm fine. I'm just lying flat. The number of marriages last year hit a new low in many years. It's been decades. I can't recall how many. It is expected to be the lowest recorded data in several years, specifically the second lowest, as there were just over 600,000 couples celebrating their new marriages this year. The last time this occurred was 900,000, correct? However, many people believe that last year was a blind year, and the Chinese culture often pays attention to these details. They consider aspects like feng shui to determine if it's a favorable or unfavorable year. A blind year in this context signifies a time devoid of good luck or fortune, which can be significant. Right, but does that mean you must get married only in a double spring or leap month? Right? That's not how it works. Does the impact truly matter significantly? This is the first important point to consider. The second point is that the divorce rate remains quite high. In fact, it has even increased in recent years. On average, it can be said that approximately 1 in every 6 newlywed couples eventually ends up getting divorced. So, the ratio of marriages to divorces is about that. However, this figure isn't particularly high when compared to the previous year. It's been consistently like this for the past decade or so, indicating that you're already witnessing a new generation emerging. Actually, China is gradually and steadily moving towards adopting a value system that aligns with those of developed countries. This emerging value system reflects a shift with individuals becoming increasingly self-centered. This contrasts sharply with the traditional model, where individuals were expected to adhere to a predefined life trajectory focused on passing on the family lineage. Yes, graduate, then date, get married, buy a house, and this is the key point, buying a house. Then as life progresses, you find yourself having children, perhaps 1 or 2, and eventually more, and so forth. Then there's a noticeable wave of consumption, such as purchasing stylish shoes and luxurious cars. And real estate consumption, right? In mainland China, there isn't any, not now.
Oh, there's no extra tutoring. Yes.
However, this trajectory is gradually shifting to place greater emphasis on personal consumption patterns and individual preferences. Well, personal consumption of entertainment is indeed a very obvious and significant industry in the film sector. However, its extension is relatively greater in the mainland regions, while Hong Kong has significantly less of it. But it's not that there isn't any. There is, just look at Hong Kong. Rising quickly to the loudest bang bang sound, all 92, yes, just a Pop Mart event. Absolutely, Pop Mart, as we have already discussed. This is only the very beginning of our journey together. Yes. Pop Mart offers a variety for 80, which is quite a deal.
I'm unsure if Pop Mart has recently released something related.
Neza has been released and is related to upcoming releases. They will release Neza, so you hold the IP, right? Holding the IP is the core. Some people say no. Don't just say it's rising so sharply. Instead, what specific items should I consider buying? I'm specifically referring to that small item called Blue Bulu. For instance, the one that resembles that non-functional dead version, similar to what you'd find at a store like Miniso, which is known for its compact and cute products. Yes, Miniso, yes. Hey, this particular batch is utilizing some well-known intellectual properties to effectively promote their business, while Pop Mart directly owns the intellectual property itself. Therefore, I'm not necessarily recommending that everyone make a purchase at this moment. It clearly reflects the present economic model, increasingly leaning towards one that emphasizes a more personal enjoyment and fulfillment experience. Yes, I firmly believe this emerging trend will likely continue for the next 5 to 10 years, as reversing back to the previous real estate-led economic model seems quite challenging. In a challenging economy that is either poor or lacks significant momentum, or in a slow-moving economic environment, it does not necessarily imply that there are no stocks that will experience declines, nor does it indicate that there are no specific industries that might perform successfully. So, my dear old Pop Mart, I truly believe it could rise to a level you wouldn't even imagine.
No, they are currently located on the mainland. I'm unsure about the situation there, but in Hong Kong, there's a concept referred to as the single economy. Yes, and then it could potentially include this specific type of consumer stocks along with several promising restaurant stocks.
When it comes to restaurants, well, let's just avoid discussing that topic. Because everyone will only compete on price, but IP can't be competed on price. Can you help design and create a product similar to that one? Let's see if anyone buys it at half the price. No. At most, they can only derive a limited number of derivative products, such as the Chichahua set, which is indeed a notable example. However, these products are definitely items that can be effectively competed on the basis of price, as their value often hinges on affordability rather than unique features. If it happens to be a listed company, don't expect its stock to rise afterwards. Because everyone will only compete on price. But Pop Mart won't compete on price with you. I hold the IP. Why should I compete on price?
And they have a lot of IPs now besides Neja. However, I would like to take a moment to mention some important official data regarding Neja. For Pop Mart, their IP has become one of their top revenue-generating IPs this year. Just 8 days after the exciting blind box launch, it astonishingly generated revenue that exceeded tens of millions. Absolutely, especially when shopping on Taobao.
Buy one, it fails. Buy two, still fails. Buy three.
Actually, I do that too. I mean, sometimes you shouldn't expect to win every time. Recently, I saw people buying toys together and it was quite fun. They might spend $5 to play and get something like finger sleeves, maybe those for rock, paper, scissors. If I don't win after a while, I get really frustrated and just keep putting in money until I win.
But I want to ask honestly, am I truly wrong to expect that I can win simply by trying just once? The strategy involves making slight adjustments each time, ultimately aiming to succeed on the third attempt. People typically think that way.
Right, and I genuinely thought I could control it. If I don't win after 4 attempts, I'll simply decide to leave. Oh, okay, but after trying 4 times and not winning, I continued out of sheer frustration and determination. I feel like my current mindset is somewhat similar to that now.
If that's the case, I think the craziest thing is putting blind boxes in the toy machines.
That's quite surprising. Hey, that bridge is pretty good. What bridge?
Isn't it like that? Isn't it now? Isn't it? There are some blind boxes inside, but
I haven't seen them very often, but they might still exist, right? I've just never seen them, but they could be there, right? I rarely go to places like that, as they don't interest me much.
wow, I feel it's really toxic. I've already struggled to get a toy out, only to find it's a blind box and I didn't get it.
Then I simply have to try again. Absolutely, that's correct. It is quite uncommon to directly open a box in such a manner.
Hey, there's absolutely no way to open a toy box from the machine like you can at a Pop Mart store. Right. We live in a civilized world and refrain from unethical actions like opening boxes. Okay, this particular blind box's cost structure is quite interesting. You can reasonably consider that they generate a substantial 50% profit margin. Among that total, 20% is allocated for distribution costs, while 30% is designated for the IP. So it's not that recently Pop Mart has been making a 50% profit.
Recently, Pop Mart has also launched a variety of popular IPs and exclusive limited editions. For example, is that it?
It's about pulling bubbles.
I actually saw something yesterday. No, it should be pulling cloth. Yesterday, I was pulling cloth with my colleagues from Shenzhen, and they were all crazy about attracting customers.
Did you go to Shenzhen yesterday?
No, they came down to shoot with us. I was absent from the company yesterday, or perhaps you simply didn't pay attention to me.
I didn't even know if I was at the company yesterday. I forgot.
However, the issue is that I was having a discussion with them yesterday regarding the intense heat and now this situation. Okay, that's right. So if you say that, it means breaking 100. Actually, now 104 is just right. Pushed out over 100, I will bring in 100 people again. Wait for them to respond. Yes, wait for them to respond.
For everyone's reference, if we take a closer look at the current estimated price to earnings ratio, we can afford to wait a moment.
Absolutely. When I examine the current price to earnings ratio of the stock market is now sitting at approximately 50 times earnings. Isn't that figure quite high and potentially expensive?
Hey, what do you usually call the adorable character Hello Kitty? Cereal is approximately 30 times more. Yes, that's correct. So it operates as a well-established mature IP operator. Of course, it doesn't have many features. Recently, Google has become a better option. Yes. So what do you call these interesting phenomena? Trends, yes, trends that are very popular right now, or as you might say, people are just chilling and enjoying them. Yeah, that's right. But it's an evergreen business model that consistently generates substantial profits. So if you compare its valuation with that of Sanrio, applying a 20 times price to earnings ratio seems reasonable. I wouldn't necessarily claim it's cheap, but its unique value can't be easily explained or quantified. Okay, so if you compare it with Nintendo's latest high point today, I just wanted to mention that you can cash in on that. I remember it was quite significant, but I can't recall all the details right now. You can still discuss the IP, right? Yes, that's true, but when considering holding the intellectual property, we must also take into account Disney's extensive portfolio. However, Disney's intellectual property does not contribute a significant percentage to its overall revenue. So, obviously, it's approximately 20%, which is about 2% of the total amount. But it's not like Pop Mart completely relying on IP for income. In short, in mainland China, this is called the grain economy, yes, and the grain economy's industrial chain has upstream, midstream, and downstream. Hao Hua specializes particularly in midstream stocks. And yes, he also engages in various IP operations and handles some production activities. Thus, these specific types of stocks will benefit the most overall.
Yes. I simply mentioned while examining the chart closely that back in the year 2021, the peak temperature reached an impressive 107 degrees. Actually, it's almost breaking that peak now with some dance scores.
Dance scores and dance classes are truly remarkable, absolutely flawless in their execution. You can definitely invite friends over to enjoy the fun, right? Also, today what was 107 back then?
Back then, it was all still unknown information that nobody had yet figured out the scores for. Exactly.
Yeah, and people noted that it wasn't just them. There were actually many IPs coming from various other sources as well. Hey, can you tell me what types of products Pop Mart sells? They sold various quirky toys, mostly blind boxes. In short, there were various notable things we couldn't name, not that they weren't widely known. We simply didn't have the knowledge.
That's right. But now Pop Mart is at 104.3, so keep an eye on it because it was mentioned that 107 is its historical peak.
Hey, wasn't the last recorded historical peak 107? I would like to check this out further. Because it launched and today it broke that. Today it's 107.6. Oh, today has already reached a high of 10.7.6. Oh.
Yes. Let me take a look.
Then let's patiently wait for it to play a clever trick.
Even at closing, it had 10.43 and there's room to explore. Yes. Alright, like this. So since we just discussed the IP related topics, let's smoothly transition to the global markets and have a conversation about Nintendo, shall we? Sure, sounds good. As for Nintendo, today it has impressively set a remarkable new high in its achievements and performance. The lowest value is 10,080, while the highest value stands at 11,025. Actually, should I say 10,000 or how should I say it? 10,980 or how should I put it? This particular quote is valued at 10,980 yen. Since I seldom provide quotes for Japanese stocks, can we succinctly confirm that it is indeed 10,980 yen?
Yes, of course, we can say that.
However, the highest price reached is 11,025 yen, which has already established a new record high. So the question remains, can we still confidently continue to invest in this asset? I discovered 3 compelling reasons and would like to know if you think it's acceptable. First, in relation to Nintendo as a topic of discussion, let me take a moment to open it up first. I apologize for the slight delay. Absolutely, Nintendo. In the realm of movies, the portrayal is often quite exaggerated. By the way, when they premiered the Super Mario film, did you happen to catch it? It certainly created quite a buzz.
Oh, I haven't actually seen it yet, but I am familiar with the movie, yes.
I want to say, I can't remember if it's on Netflix or where. Sure, here's the expanded text. Anyway, there's this popular movie called HMVOD, and my son has already watched it 10 times. He keeps enthusiastically talking about it. It was released in 2023. Its impressive box office is second only to Barbie, boasting a remarkable global total that exceeds $1 billion. Furthermore, in addition to its impressive box office revenue, the movie is also expected to significantly boost various retail sales. With the film's release, numerous Sofina-themed merchandise items will be available for eager fans to purchase. So there's money to be made here. But the biggest question is, I just mentioned it's from 2023, what's the connection to the movie? The reason for this is that Super Mario 2 is anticipated to be officially released in April of next year, specifically in April 2026. Will it continue to carry on the remarkable success of the previous movie, which achieved an impressive milestone by breaking 1 billion at the global box office? This potential for a similar outcome could be another compelling reason to consider making a purchase right now. So the second reason is that there is actually this fascinating film park that attracts many visitors.
Yes, that's right. Where? Japan. Is that so? I don't know. I just wanted to ask.
Hey, Hollywood has been an iconic part of entertainment for a long time, and yes, it's located in America near the amazing Super Nintendo World theme park.
I assumed it was in Japan. California, yes. Oh, it's foreign. Yes, California. I thought I could go there. Hey, the Super Nintendo World. Does that mean there are many Super Nintendo attractions inside, or is it a whole Super Nintendo World?
Hey, it genuinely is a fantastic Super Nintendo World. I just came across some pictures for you, and they look really fun. Honestly, can it truly be as amazing as it seems in those photos?
Okay, I'm not sure if everyone is allowed to ask questions.
When you finally arrive at the actual destination, you can give it a try. But this is Super Mario discussing its exciting Nintendo-themed world, which is set to open in California in February 2023, promising fun for all ages. It has consistently been the most popular attraction in the park. Can you remind me what it's called again? One of the film parks? Right. Additionally, Japan also has a themed area dedicated to Nintendo, which opened in 2021, known as the Nintendo World Attraction. Oh, okay. Universal Studios is set to have one in 2023. Additionally, in the vibrant city of Orlando, Florida, an exciting new establishment is set to open its doors this coming May. Currently, the city of Orlando is set to become the largest Super Mario park in the entire world, featuring an exciting lineup of 3 unique attractions that will immerse visitors in the vibrant universe of their favorite video game characters and adventures. I can't help but wonder if this strategic move will significantly help Nintendo boost its overall IP revenue, because their merchandise stores will undoubtedly experience increased sales, particularly from adult customers as well. They will shop for these items. Additionally, one final aspect that I believe has the potential to keep gaining momentum is the anticipated release of the Switch 2, correct? It appears that on April 2nd, there will be a significant release event announcing additional details and exciting updates. In my impression, the very first time I encountered Nintendo, I must say, let's not even bring up the older classic consoles like those iconic gray ones that were so popular back then.
Why look down on these? No, I don't look down on them, but, the plane is really old and I've never played with it.
I played it, the first time I played, I saw something like this. Is the red and white one a cartridge type?
This is the second generation.
Right, like that. Hey, I actually owned a classic Nintendo gaming console back in the day. The first console was the NDS, the Game Boy.
Oh, it was the NDS too.
NDS is not the same as NDSL version. Wow. The second model introduced was the NDSL.
I've never owned one, no.
You've never owned one?
Hey, I just got a Nintendo Switch at home.
Yes, I really hate it, but I still have my NDSL console. It's still here and continues to function properly.
Is the NDS just opening? Then grab a pen and read Two Monoid.
Yeah, and I also have Cookie Mama on my device, but I forgot the pen.
Huh, yeah. I have a device, but I forgot the pen, and hey, I lost the charger.
Oh, isn't it just plugged in? It's not USB, right? Something like that. Just an old Android cable.
Yeah, but now let me check my device. I still have it. It's been over 10 years.
Then there's the V. Actually, I remember when it first came out, it was quite a hit. The whole gaming community, like everyone could use the remote to lose weight, exercise, right? It was a new trend, like a new era. So now with the second generation of the Switch, is it called the second generation? April is starting again. So I think if you combine these three factors, can it still hold up? Even if it's at a historical high, so what? It can still be bought.
I have my mixed feelings. I am neutral. To be honest, I completely agree with Li Jinghua's analysis and insights. But I guess it's another matter. So, don't forget everyone, you see that their Q3 revenue has dropped. Yes, it's really been mediocre, meaning they must release a Switch 2. If they don't release a second generation, their revenue will drop, and it will be disastrous. That's how it is. Of course, we've always said that these are IP stocks, not just selling consoles. But the market will definitely look at your console sales data, and selling consoles is how you penetrate your IP world. Yes, it always comes back to Mario. Yes, it always comes back to Mario selling for decades but still evergreen. And you need to keep playing Mario for your IP to have value. Right? So you see, in Q3 they sold 4.82 million Switches, and if you look from the beginning of this year until now, they've actually sold 9.54 million. 954 million. Yes, that's a 30% year-on-year drop. So that means it's actually the end. Yes, they really need to release a second generation. I haven't researched what the selling points of the second generation are, but I guess they won't just change the color and call it the second generation.
That shouldn't be the case, but we have to wait until April 2nd.
That's right. Actually, Nintendo has always been seen as following a unique path in the gaming world. Unlike Xbox and Sony's PlayStation, which are pursuing high realism, or a movie-like approach, or even something close to a simulator, Nintendo has never emphasized that their games are simulators. Yes, they focus on fun and enjoyment. Family-friendly is their approach. So this is actually a key aspect for them. Well, since they have reached this level, you might as well set up a watch list first. Then see how much market expectation there is for their new device. Yeah, if the topic really gains more traction, I think their stock price can follow suit. Right now, their valuation is about 40 times PE. If you just look at their price and consider them as an IP stock, Samuel is around 30 times. But hey, Samuel doesn't have games, right? They won't make a whole Switch. So I think the current price for Nintendo is actually reasonable. Yeah, but there are some technical factors like iOS reaching around 70. Yeah, you need to be a bit cautious. But if you already have shares, of course you should hold on to them. You should hold on to them, I think. Yeah, because they are purely an IP and game name stock. If you think about it, globally, everyone is talking about the solo economy and self economy. So, Nintendo stocks are the ones to pick, actually.
Also, while you were talking just now, I was thinking, what other IPs does he have? Besides Super Mario, it turns out he has also played The Legend of Zelda. What's that? Yeah, the green thing. The green character, like in The Legend of Zelda. And then there's Pokemon. Oh, Pokemon. What IP does Pokemon have? Yeah, he said it's not. The Pokemon series is the most popular game under Nintendo. It was launched in 1996. Okay, and there's also another one. Hey, do you know if you've played Animal Crossing? Okay, Animal Crossing.
Okay, and then there's Animal Crossing, a game that was really popular during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's like farming, right? Yeah, that's right, but I haven't played it. And there's also Kirby. Kirby, yes, that's it. So that's this bunch of IPs. But for this one, I might look into whether there are any related ones to include in the ETF. It's an ETF, yes, we can take another look.
Additionally, besides that, for stock purchases, it will be available soon. Everyone should download our app. Yes, the stock feature will be launched very soon.
Hey, can we talk about it, right?
We can talk. Oh, but I can't say when it will be launched. It's not that I'm not allowed to say, I just can't. Because we've completed some testing on the program. Yes, but other programs are still being scheduled.
So everyone can look forward to it.
You can open an account. By then, our app will be very comprehensive. Even now, everyone can use our app to trade virtual assets. Yes, I did that. I mentioned it last week.
Yes, I've completed the surveys. Buying stocks doesn't require surveys, right?
But have you bought any Bitcoin? You said last week you would buy 2 Bitcoins. Where are they?
Of course, it's not just two. Like that. Wow. That's what I'm saying. But it's disqualified. Yeah, that's it. But hey, there's something else we need to discuss, which is our topic for today. So, the topic for today is actually not mentioned yet. That's how it is. What's so funny? I haven't mentioned it, so I'm just saying. Today is just too rich in content. We're talking about the Fed now, the interest rate cut, and our topic is about rising expectations. So, the CPI data will be key to pushing gold to new highs.
Because the expectations for rate cuts are rising. But hey, is that right?
I just want to ask you because the market expects the CPI to drop to 2.8. But the core inflation will still exceed 3%. Additionally, there is actually poor employment data. And because of Donald Trump, he has many tariff policies. Actually, everyone can think of one thing, which is tariff policies. You might not have a problem, but if you implement them, what issues do factories face? It might increase costs, but they will actually pass the costs on to consumers. So in the end, it's the consumers who suffer.
Not necessarily, but the biggest problem is that it disrupts the supply chain. In the past few years, our inflation has been so severe, and the reason is due to supply chain disruptions. Yes, and this is not something that monetary policy can solve. However, the Federal Reserve or other central banks can only use monetary policy to try to prove they are doing something, but you can't really suppress it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, you are right. Will factories pass on their costs? Well, yes and no. Sometimes factories can find ways to avoid certain tariffs, but of course, for indiscriminate tariffs like a flat rate of 25%, it is just that. However, there are reports saying that Australia is actually discussing waiving its tariffs. So I don't know if this is true or not, but we have reason to believe that some allied countries may have lower tariff levels due to different interests. So other sources of raw materials might enter the US through these duty-free channels. Is that right? In short, there are different paths for different players in this world. Yes, But these trade barriers directly lead to increased manufacturing costs and a slowdown in the supply chain. But the core issue is whether people are buying.
If you raise the cost, will anyone still buy?
Is the current purchasing power sufficient? What we are most worried about now is that people are not consuming well. The core high-end market is not consuming much, and this is a significant problem.
Yes. Also, if we assume that the Federal Reserve will signal some interest rate cuts, people are worried that the dollar might weaken. Why is that? It's because of the bonds. When interest rates are cut, the yields on those bonds will decrease.
Hey, that's right.
Then people think if I buy like this, I might as well switch to investing in virtual assets, virtual assets in recent years, or maybe gold.
I somewhat disagree with this because in the real world, debt is quite cheap. Yes, think about it. Now 10-year bonds are talking about interest rates of around 4%. Theoretically, US Treasury bonds are considered risk-free investments. Yes, that's the theory, textbook theory.
Because if the US collapses, I remember you mentioned that, right?
You've listened to the book? Very good, yes, but no one buys it, right?
So it's too little, only 4%, right?
No, 4% in a risk-free asset isn't considered low. Think about it. I don't have to bear any risk and I earn 4% every year. How much return do you get from selling a house? Nothing if you don't count the mortgage. Buying a house has returns. There's rental income. Yes, roughly 3 to 4% around that. Of course, some can be higher at times, okay? In such situations, everyone is reluctant to hold on to US bonds and shifts to invest in gold, virtual currencies, and so on. Actually, this is on one hand a hedge demand, but on the other hand, they feel that the source of risk comes from the US. Yes, or sources related to the US or sources of dollar assets indeed. So under such circumstances, I think everyone can expect the trend to continue downward. As for gold, we've talked about it before. Gold won't budge from 3,000.
Actually, it's almost there, I want to say.
Not yet. Still a few more dollars.
Hey, it won't be long before it hits.
Oh, alright.
Oh no, it's really fast. Think about it. Before we did the show, you were already saying it. I thought it would break 2,900 just like that, right? 2,400. When did you say? You said when you started talking about gold. Everyone should pay attention, actually. We were already saying it last year.
Hey, oh no, our show actually gets everything right. Hey, everyone sit tight. Let's change the name of our show. Don't call it Investment Notes anymore. Let's call it No Poor People. Really, I don't know. You can ask my sister.
Hey, about gold, I want to ask you because, hey, we can continue to hold on, or rather, we should say we can keep an eye on the reasons. Because actually, Japan, India, and Russia have not increased their gold reserves for a very long time.
You talk about the treasury, you mean the central banks. Yes.
In the past 2 years, we can see that especially in China. They have been quietly buying a lot, especially from China, India, and Russia. The reason might be related to the fact that during the conflicts in Russia, a large amount of their dollar assets were seized by the US. They thought their assets in the US were the safest, but it turned out they could be taken away. This led these countries to possibly buy gold and shift their assets to Hong Kong.
So what is it? It turns out that I really should think this way. The Hong Kong government has already invested in promotional efforts and they should promote it this way.
That's right. But because of this, they keep buying gold, driving the prices up.
Will it happen? Like this? Yes. There is such a possibility. As Zhenghua mentioned, these countries assess that the upcoming geopolitical risks are often related to the US dollar assets and their own situations. If you are like Russia and in an opposing relationship with the US, your asset security will decrease. Then I can only buy some universally recognized, relatively non-dollar assets. Yes, only gold, right? What about silver?
And if you say that, does Bitcoin count?
Well, the problem is whether it has widespread acceptance. In China, you can't buy Bitcoin. It's not that the government forbids it, but the question is, does it have widespread acceptance? For now, it can't be compared to gold. You can take gold anywhere in the world. As long as you can prove it's real, you can exchange gold for food or energy. But with Bitcoin, it's relatively more difficult, and buying Bitcoin has become much easier now. But I'm not saying Bitcoin isn't worth buying. In fact, I think Bitcoin is at a good price right now. Yeah, I want to ask you about Bitcoin. How do you see its trend? Because you can just open the app and buy it, right?
You can buy a little, even just a small amount.
Like a few dollars.
Yes, a few dollars, like 2 or 3, that works too. Well, currently Bitcoin is still moving sideways around 99,000 to 96.
The longer it moves sideways, the better, right? Look at how long it was sideways last time. This time, yes, it was sideways for over half a year in 2024. Then it shot up from March to October. So, it doubled? Yes, it doubled up. And now it's sideways again for another half year. Then it could double again. You say it's slow accumulation. I think that's not surprising, right?
Not surprising, yes, really not surprising. So everyone can take a look again. And lastly, it actually went over time, but Wyman needs to mention NVIDIA. NVIDIA is coming out with results soon.
Oh, I won't estimate the results in detail because it's really unpredictable. February 21st, February 21st. The results are all unpredictable. I always say, where is the predictability? You guess, you gamble, that's it.
So the topic is not an issue. I'm just hitting myself in the face.
Hey, don't say that. I'm managing myself, I have NVIDIA, so what will I do? Yes, I won't specifically deploy to increase or decrease my position. Yes, because I'm holding on to one stock, I'm optimistic about the overall trend. I think for now, NVIDIA's dominant position in the industry cannot be changed.
Yeah.
Some people say that DeepSet requires far fewer chips for its entire model, so NVIDIA might be in trouble, but first, who knows how many fewer? No one has a clear answer right now, because it hasn't been disclosed and no one has calculated it. Secondly, you still need chips that only NVIDIA can provide, right? So this demand will continue. Hey, remember when NVIDIA's stock dropped? We talked about the discount period, right? Was it around 9?
I remember.
No, it wasn't 9. It was earlier, around 110.
Hey, when it dropped like that, I wasn't worried because there were always some ETFs in there. Right, there were some red ones in there.
Yeah, so we just changed the name.
What? No poor people, right?
Having a car doesn't mean you're poor, and being bad doesn't mean you're poor. We should make a slogan like that. Let's change our banner accordingly.
Sure.
Yes, everyone should download the app first.
So, today's time is really almost up, and WingP couldn't answer your US stock question today. You can, next time, just come a bit earlier. Our program starts at 4:30, so make sure to leave a comment.
Yes, thank you.
Then we can know right away. So, now the time is almost up. Actually, the futures have opened, currently up 35 points. Let's see if it can. If it quickly rises to 24,000, then we can already achieve our goal for this year.
So what? Is it that we finish work and don't have to do the program, then we can just BBQ and joke around, right?
No. So next Wednesday, we'll meet at the same time again. Hope everyone has a happy Valentine's Day. Bye-bye.